Let's talk about homophobia, because frankly, there's no other word for it.
Yeah.
In football, there is still a culture which, some, in the mildest way of putting it, might call a lad culture, but others would just say is out and out homophobic.
Yeah.
And you have had to, for years, watch that and be in the midst of it and be completely silent about your own sexual identity.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's banter, which, you're not too sensitive to, and it flies around and whatever. It's always going to be part of the sports culture. But then there's a point where it gets past that, where, there's like a malicious tone to it, where, and I've spoken about this, but where guys will like have a discussion. I've been in a locker room where guys have a discussion, like, how could you even be gay? How could you go through the act of loving them? Like, how disgusting is that? And I'd be riding the bike there and I'd be like, oh my gosh, like I'm never coming out. This is impossible. Or I am, but I'm definitely not going to be in this locker room. So there's definitely,
What about coaches as well?
Yeah, same. I've heard coaches say things like, don't pass the ball like a faggot. It's like, well, what does that mean? Like, I'm passing the ball now like everyone else and I'm gay. So, but that's stuff.
If you were in a training session and if you literally heard a coach say, don't pass like a faggot, were you ever tempted to march up to that coach and say, do you want to know something?
Yeah. No, I mean, there were late, like in the end, towards more the end of my career, I remember I heard it once and like I actually left and after training and like laughed about it because I was like, how insane that this person would say something and like believe that and think that it was acceptable to do that. And I was out with one of my buddies then, so I was talking to them and I was like, it's hard for me not to like just see how ridiculous it is. So, when I was younger and I heard things like that, I would just go internal and just be, more depressed, I guess, and keep that stuff inside, which again is so dangerous for people.
In your book, you've used that phrase, which is a very powerful phrase. You've talked about a pack mentality in a male. Yeah. I mean, obviously, there are many females play soccer, but if we're talking about, elite level professional male soccer, the pack mentality is pretty much as strong today, despite all of the talk about removing discrimination from the game. It's as strong today as it ever was.
Yeah, it's a little different now, I think. I think people are more sensitive to things. I know the Galaxy, it's different. But yeah, that pack mentality where guys say things to make guys laugh, they say things because they think they're supposed to say them, that they're supposed to all agree on things, they don't want to stand out too much. That is something that I don't quite understand. Obviously I'm a person that like kind of goes a different way, and I did definitely when I turned 25, but even before then, I've always been a person I think that not necessarily always wanted to stand out, but I'm not afraid to disagree with people. And for whatever reason, I think maybe it's not just in sports, but it's just people in general just become part of that mentality and that pack mentality. I say that they want to live up to stereotypes. They want to say things to have people agree with them. And I learned that because I noticed after I came out, the same guys that were very homophobic before I came out were the same guys that were supporting me and were like, oh, I hope I didn't say anything in the locker room so that scared you or hurt you, and you shouldn't retire, you should keep playing. And so it's not that they're homophobic, it's just, again, that they're part of that like mentality.
It's a culture.
It's a culture,
an
exactly.
unthinking sort of culture.
Exactly.